If you think parrots are the only birds that can mimic human speech, think again. Meet Mischief, a charming crow trained by American bird expert Paige Davis.
Hi.
Go to your perch.
He does all sorts of voices. You say, hi.
Hi.
Good job!
Mischief had a remarkable talent for human speech. Although he passed away in April 2020, he enjoyed a wonderful 20-year life. He lived at the World Bird Sanctuary in Valley Park, Missouri, where his adventures were documented by his handler, Paige Davis. Mischief could accurately mimic Davis, matching both her tone and words.
Hello.
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 Hi. Hi.
He could say hi, hello, back to your perch, and other short phrases. In fact, this talented raven could make over 100 specific vocalizations. While Mischief has passed on, his legacy continues through the adventures of Linus, a young white-necked raven, and Davis. Another smart raven is a female named Fable. She stars in many Falconry and Me videos, showcasing her ability to sing and even swear.
Hi, Fable. Hi, Fable.
Her owner places a hidden camera in her aviary to capture her natural vocalizations as she mimics different human voices, including those of males, females, and even children. Ravens belong to the Corvid, also known as the crow family, and their level of intelligence varies between species. Yet scientists have found that the New Caledonian crow is the most intelligent. It is stated that they are to corvids what humans are to the rest of the primates. But how do we conclude that corvid birds are smart? Scientists who study this topic typically use 4 main characters. The first one is the problem-solving skills, followed by the rate of self-awareness of the bird, then the level of emotional quotient, and lastly, the creative edge it has over other animals. The question now is, how do the crows perform better over other birds on these 4 grounds? Well, you're about to find out. Crows are fascinating creatures renowned for their impressive problem-solving abilities. They can imitate human speech in various styles, often displaying a humorous and entertaining personality. Despite their playful nature, they also show a surprising level of care. These clever birds use tools to tackle complex challenges, such as dropping nuts on the road for cars to crack open and then retrieving them safely when the pedestrian lights change. Crows also have excellent memory and can recognize faces, holding grudges against those who have wronged them for years. Their ability to mimic the sounds they hear further showcases their remarkable intelligence. In a series of experiments, crows displayed their problem-solving skills as they were able to solve complex puzzles that involved multiple steps and tools. For example, the famous 8-step puzzle, designed by Dr. Alex Taylor in 2014, shows a crow solving a problem that required using tools in a specific sequence to get a treat. Crows were given different water-filled tubes, each with a treat floating just out of reach. In one trial, they faced 2 choices: a treat inside a water-filled tube and another on top of sand. The crows cleverly dropped rocks into the water-filled tube to raise the water level and get the treat, completely ignoring the tube with sand. In the next trial, the crows were given a single tube of water and objects with different densities. They chose the sinking objects rather than the floating ones to reach the treat. When presented with 2 tubes of different water levels, they dropped objects into the tube with a higher water level to get the eye-catching treat faster. These trials showcased the crow's impressive problem-solving skills, a level of intelligence comparable to that of a human child around 7 years old, which is quite remarkable for a bird. However, Dr. Alex performed 2 more tests for the crow, which failed. One of the tests required understanding the difference between a wide tube versus a narrow tube. Another was a counterintuitive task, where the tube with a reward was connected to another tube via a hidden U-bend. The crows didn't fully understand these setups, but in comparison, during tests with human children, only kids around 8 years old could consistently solve such tests. Beyond their impressive problem-solving skills, crows also excel in tool use. New Caledonian crows in particular are renowned for this ability. They can craft tools from sticks and leaves to extract insects from tree bark, and even use pieces of wire to fish out food from hard-to-reach places. This ability to create and use tools indicates advanced cognitive function. When they were given objects too short to retrieve food from a puzzle box, the crows combined elements by inserting one stick into the hollow end of another, creating a tool long enough to reach the food. Interestingly, one crow even made 3- and 4-part tools. Such compound tool construction has only been observed outside of humans in a few captive great apes and is typically associated with human intelligence. In addition to their fascinating skill sets, did you know that crows can take actions now that will benefit them later? This is a skill that most animals struggle with. Delayed gratification and planning are high-order cognitive abilities that even human children often find challenging. These skills require both memory of past experiences and foresight for future events. In a study published in 2020, New Caledonian crows were shown one of 3 puzzle boxes they already knew how to open, each requiring a specific tool. After viewing the puzzle box, the crows were removed from the test area for 5 minutes and presented with 5 different objects, 1 tool for each box, and 2 distraction objects. After selecting an object and waiting 10 minutes, they were allowed back into the test area. The researchers found that the crows not only chose the correct tool for the corresponding puzzle box, but they also remembered to bring the tool with them into the test area. In another study, researchers presented the birds with a locked box containing a treat. This time, the birds were given an assortment of items, including the correct tool, a few distractor tools, and an immediate food reward that was less appealing than the one in the locked box. Most of the time, the birds took the risk, delayed their gratification, kept the correct tool, and later used it to open the box with a better treat. How extraordinary can that get? It's also fascinating to know that crows learn quickly and pass on their knowledge to their offspring. This might be easier for them because they spend many years nurturing their young. This is vividly illustrated when researchers at the University of Washington wore masks while trapping, banding, and releasing crows on campus. Although the crows were unharmed, the experience frightened them. Since then, whenever the crows see anyone wearing the mask, they raise an alarm, showing their ability to remember and communicate potential threats to others. When the researchers wore different masks from the ones used initially, the crows didn't react. 17 years later, the researcher occasionally wears the original mask on campus. The crows still respond as they did 17 years ago, dive-bombing the researcher and making alarm calls. Young crows observe this behavior in older crows and learn to perceive masked humans as dangerous, demonstrating how knowledge is passed down through generations. Similarly, in 2011, 2 researchers at the University of Washington wore an identical dangerous mask. They trapped, banded, and released about 15 crows at 5 sites near Seattle. They made observations about the bird for the next 5 years. These observers either wore a neutral mask or one of the dangerous masks worn during the initial trapping events. Within the first 2 weeks after trapping, an average of 26% of the crows encountered scolded the person wearing the dangerous mask and left the person with the neutral mask. Around 15 months later, 30.4% of them scolded the mask wearer. 3 years later, the number of scolding crows had grown to 66%. This shows that the crows were communicating with each other about the humans' actions and passing knowledge down to their generations. When it comes to mourning dead crows, corvids exhibit complex social behaviors, and one of the most interesting is their mourning rituals for the dead. When a crow finds a dead member of its flock, it raises an alarm call that attracts other crows. They gather around the deceased, which can look quite dramatic, with several crows congregating, calling out loudly, and even swooping down close to the body. In fact, one of the primary behaviors observed during a crow funeral is loud calling. The crows will vocalize extensively to attract more crows to the scene. This noise is an alert to draw attention to the dead crow. Researchers believe that crows use these moments as learning opportunities. By studying the scene of a crow's death, they can gather vital information about potential environmental threats. For example, if a predator or an unfamiliar danger killed a crow, the group can learn to avoid similar threats in the future. One notable study by Dr. John Marsliff and his team at the University of Washington involved holding a dead crow in front of crows and observing their reactions. The researchers found that crows would not only gather and call, but also exhibit cautious and investigative behavior, such as flying around the area and perching at a safe distance to observe. The researchers also tested how crows react to humans associated with dead crows. They found that if the crows saw an unfamiliar person holding a dead crow and later saw the same person without the crow, they would remember the person and treat them as a potential threat. The intelligence and social complexity of these birds reminds us just how much there is to learn and appreciate about the natural world, from their tool-making prowess to their impressive problem-solving skills and intricate social behaviors. Corvids are generally some of the most remarkable creatures on the planet. However, some birds, like pigeons, equally exercise outstanding traits of smartness, but the complex intelligence of crows is likened to a 7-year-old.